It's Melinda Valent. I'm going through how to create a floor in Revit 2022. At the moment, I have the exterior walls of my building. I've got a few interior walls, no windows, doors. I've got a building pad and I've got a topo service and site outline. Now, the building pad is just a graded level of dirt. It is just a flattened level of dirt. It is not actually my floor. It's not the concrete foundation that you might find in buildings, and it's certainly not the floor finish that you'd find in buildings. As I hover on it, you should be able to see it pops up saying pad, pad 1. So it's a building pad. It's just level dirt. It's not, you can't, use it like a proper floor material, and you can't add materials to it in the same way you can floor. Okay, so let's add flooring to this building. Now, under floor, there's a couple of different kinds of floor. There's floor architectural, which is really just the finishes. So if you want a timber floor, a carpet floor, a tiled floor, it is just for the finish type of flooring that you want on your in your rooming. We've got structural floor. That is more your concrete foundations. That is something that you build on top of. Floor by face we won't be using. It just creates a mass floor on the floor of the building level. The slab edge, so when you create a concrete foundation, it has an edge to it, this slab edge, which is this is what the feature here allows you to create. So we're just going to create a concrete floor, and then we'll put on a section of that concrete floor, we'll put some timber floorboards on top of that. Now, the building pad at the moment is actually right on level 0, okay? It is sitting on level, it's actually it's actually sitting 2,000 up from level 0. So what I might actually do is I'm going to move the building pad down. So it's only sitting at like 1,800 instead of right on level 1. So I'm going to change that down. The reason being is that if I try and put my floor on the same level as the building pad, they will compete for our attention, and they'll strobe, and there'll be some weird checkering of those two surfaces because the computer can't quite calculate or render out which one it should be showing. So we need to have them at different heights, as it would be in the real world. So I've moved my building pad down a little bit, and on level 1, I'm going to do the concrete foundation. So if I double click on level 1, you can see I've got more, I'm looking at the floor plan at level 1. Under floor, I'm going to choose floor structural, because I'm just going to do a concrete one. Now, I've got a fairly odd shape. I don't have a basic rectangle, so I'm going to use the line tool to draw my foundation. Now, because it is a concrete floor, I want the concrete floor to actually be at the very edge of the wall. I don't want to have the concrete start part way in. I want the concrete to go all the way to the edge. So I'm going to just follow my exterior walls around and create the edge of my concrete. So let's just say, and that's sitting on level 1 with 0 offset. So accept that. Now have a look at it in 3D just to see. So you can see there, as I zoom in, you can see that it's gone right to the outer edge. Okay. All right. Now we're going to put a slab edge on this. So floor, and we're going to do a slab edge, and we're going to choose, it says modify place slab edge. So we're going to do that on level 1. Okay, shapes the horizontal edge of a floor slab. Click, highlight the horizontal edges of floors or model lines, and click to place slab edge. As you click continuous edges, one continuous slab edge is created. If the slab edge segment meets the corners, they miter. Okay, I'm going to do that. So edge, there we go. Edge, rotate, oops. rotate, edge, 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 edge. Okay, so if I look at that from underneath, you'll notice it's got that beveled slab edge now. All right, that was a slight sidetrack adventure. Okay, so I had to hide a few things just so I could see what was going on here. So I'm going to unhide those now. So I'm going to, yeah, reset. So reset, temporary hide, isolate. So you can see that. It's not very easy, but you can see that slab edge now on the underside of my foundation. Okay, all right. Now I've got my floor. I'm going to add a floating timber floor over the top of this. So that is going to be an architectural floor. So floor architectural. Now, of course, I'm not going to do it in my 3D view. I'm going to do it on level 1. But I am also going to actually raise this off the level, the concrete, because again, if I do them on the same level, you won't be able to see it very well. So I'm not going to change it by much, probably like, you know, a small amount, probably just 2 centimeters. And that will at least stop them checkering and competing when I look at it in a rendered view. So I'm going to create a, these can be my bedrooms, let's say, or bathrooms, bedroom, bathroom. But this big area out here, that's going to be my timber floor. So I'm going to use now the line tool, and I'm actually going to be doing that on the inside of the wall. So adding my timber floor, and you'll note that, looks like I've done it slightly off. I'll have to fix that. Its height offset is 20. So I'm just going to place that around. It does do a little snap, which is very convenient. So I can pop it in the corners. Now you'll see that this one hasn't quite sat where I want it to sit. So I'm going to just nudge that out with my arrows. Nudge it back a bit. Okay, so I'm happy. I could also use this little pick walls feature. So if I chose that, it would probably make life a bit easier. But the only thing with that is it kind of just decides for you where that line's going to go. So you can see it's kind of gone to the core of the wall. So if I pick that one, now it's kind of done this weird overlap. So I'll just undo those. Yeah, so I find using the line tool gives me a little bit more control. So this is going to be a timber floor. So I'm just going to accept, and we'll just double check it in 3D. Thank you. Let's look at it. All right, now you can't see it because they're all the same material at the moment, but we know we've put it there, and we know at the moment it shouldn't be doing a weird checkering as long as you put them on different levels. But if I hover my cursor near the edge of that big open area, it wants to select the wall. But if I hit tab, it should cycle through, and down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see chain of walls or lines. It's selecting that. And I tab again, and it's saying wall basic, wall interior. It's selecting that. I'm press tab again, chain of wall, wall, wall. And it's sort of toggling between a few different things. And, you know, it knows that there's different things at that point. I'm probably just going to make life easy for myself to select this, and I'm just going to hide a wall. So I'm just going to use these and hide element. So I should have a floor in here. Let's hit tab. See if I can find that floor topo surface. Okay, I did accept, so it should be there. Let's just, oh golly, look at that, it's on the wrong level. So let's just select that and see where it's been placed. It was on level 0, no wonder. So it's on the wrong level. So I'll just pop that on level 1. No wonder I couldn't choose it. Yeah, highlighted floors overlap, that is true. It's a bit too thick, that's why. Obviously no floating floor would be that thick, but we're just going to move it up to that height. And I can of course change that structure because at the moment, you know, it's this kind of floor. I'm just going to go floor timber and it will probably be a little thinner. Now, looking at it, it doesn't look like a timber floor. If I hit render, which, you know, is my little teapot here, or I can go view and I can render this out. Render, there it is. If I render, even just in draft and hit render, it will not render out a timber floor. It will just look like concrete. And of course, we want it to, it looks like particle board or MDF or, you know, craftwood really. It doesn't have a nice timber floorboard texture. And I'd like to add a nice timber floorboard texture. So just show the model, get rid of this because I don't want to render it. It's just an example. So here I'm going to choose this floor and I'm going to create my own custom floor with some timber floor material on it. All right, so you might have seen how I created a custom wall. It's more or less the same, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper and I'm going to actually add a image as the material, as the visible material on this. Okay, so we're going to create a new custom floor finish. I don't want to change the one that's by default loaded into the project. I'm going to create my own new custom one that I can use again and again. So we're going to go first into edit type for this one. And I'm going to duplicate it so I can have my own timber floor finish and I can give it its own name and things like that. So I'm gonna here, and that will leave that original floor that came with the project and the default floor. And I'll go floor timber and I'll go dark floorboard. And this is just going to be my my timber floor. Okay, so I've created my own name. So you can see here, you can see the timber floor, and then it's got this section underneath, which I'm going to obviously make a lot thinner because it's just going to be my floating material underneath. Like if you put down floorboards, quite often you have like a little floating spongy section. So here, now that I've done that, I'm going to go into the structure and I'm going to go edit it. You can see here it's very, very thick. I'm just going to change that to like 20 as well. I might just do it 10. Does not need to be that thick. Okay, so I've edited that. You can see now, even that timber, it's just the timber obviously is never going to be that thick. Well, it might be if you're doing parquetry or something, but I'm just going to make this also 10. Okay, because I don't want to make a giant, you know, floor surface. All right, so that's my top layer. That's my core boundary structure. All right, this is the floating section. Now, for this is where we start to customize the material. This is the wood sheath or whatever it's going to call it here. I'm going to click on this 3 dots, this little button in here, and I can come into the material browser. Now there are a lot of default materials in the material browser, and you know, you could try them and maybe get lucky. What I prefer to do is create my own material. So just going default floor, I am going to make a new one. So let's go create new material and let's give it a name. The name up here, of course, is a timber dark floorboard. Okay. Oops, better make sure there's a K there so I understand what I've done. Dark floorboard. Okay, it's just going to be that. All right. So, okay. Now I'm going to go, now that I've changed the name, I am going to go into the graphics. Let's just open this up a bit. You'll see shading, you'll see surface patterns, you'll see cut patterns, you see backgrounds, things like that. You'll also see, this is basically how it previews you know, just when you're looking at the model. So I'm going to change the color just to a dark browny color. This is literally just how it previews in the browser. It's not the actual material that will end up. So that's just a brown. So I can tell that I've applied my material. That's what will show up. Okay. Now in the shading. Now the appearance is where we customize the image. So you'll see here, there's, again, we'll go with like a little browny color. Just sort of trying to make it, yeah. But really down here, when we click on the image area, I can go in and choose a texture that I've downloaded from the internet. I'm just going to look at these thumbnails. So you'll see this dark timber texture. Now in the internet, I just looked up tileable timber floorboard textures. So, and it's like nice and seamless, and it's a large resolution, so hopefully it'll apply fairly well. So I hit open, and you can see that there, and you can see that little preview that's come up on that model. Okay, so it's non-metallic. I'm just going to leave everything else just default. So now my timber dark floorboard has, the graphics is just going to come up brown when I'm looking at it in my normal window, but when I hit render, it's going to come up with this timber texture. Hit apply, hit OK, 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 and I get back out, and you'll see that it's just previewing with that brown. But if I now hit render, I could do it here, or I can go view and I can hit render here. I'm just going to leave it in draft again and hit render. It should come up, and of course this is in draft, so it's not going to be very pretty. It'll take a lot longer to render out a nice version of it. It's, you know, obviously it looks a little bit tiled, and I could go back in and I could scale it and things like that, but it's basically applied my texture. It'd be much nicer if I changed it to one of these other ones and hit render, but that's going to take a little bit longer to calculate out the final texture of that. Okay, so that's how we apply textures, custom textures in Revit and create new materials in Revit. So that's the end of that tutorial. Thank you.